Okay, remember that they are changing my voice. On the screen, you should see a picture of me in the white gi, and you should see a picture of Martin Luther King, several pictures of Tupac, a picture of Bruce Lee, what have you. So they edited my picture, but at this point, when you consider what you're looking at, it is a much more handsome picture than any other picture out there, universally speaking. If you disagree, please try to find a picture that you think looks better and try to present it to me. People have tried to no avail and they've conceded my point. So how can the person who's the most universally handsome be shunned? That's ridiculous, right? And in the video before this, I've shown definitively that the logical assumption is that I have a profound desire for justice, for righteousness, for a happy marriage, to be treated fairly, for romance, what have you. So when the government interfered, it was much worse than interfering with the average man's life. First of all, I've proven that I'm logically the idea that Christ coming back is superimposed on. Christ coming back in your mind is superimposed on the real version of it. Right? The miracles are figurative, what have you. Okay? So when they interfere with my love life, when they interfere with my life, they interfere in a way that's much more harmful and malicious than with other people's. So you have these white supremacists, Jewish supremacists, they're very selfish and greedy and jealous. And you have these LGBT people who are very petty, who say things like they don't want people to look up to me and see that, heterosexual love goes far beyond LGBT activities, right? Their marriages, their Disney occult shows, their gay parades, their gay events, the Met Gala, okay, their movies, their music, their art. They didn't want people to realize that being heterosexual is preferred to being LGBT in reality. That is the reality of the situation. If you decide in your heart that you want to be a rocker, because keep in mind, people can use psychology to make it so they're less attracted to the same sex, what have you. They can use psychology to that, and there's things they can do. There's technologies coming out. So they're making a conscious decision to choose that lifestyle. There's no religious imperative to do so, they just decide to do so. There's nothing that's telling them to do so other than their own desire. And so it's pretty straightforward that it's fair for me to say that what they're doing is wrong, that what they're doing is evil and selfish. And so when we look at this situation, we see the masses of whites and Jews and LGBT people refusing to come together to face these oppressors. That's called being yoked to them. Like I brought up in a couple of videos ago, right? Revelation 18 it says, come out of her, come out of Babylon's system, especially those particular racial compartments. The white culture, the Jewish culture, the LGBT culture. They're the central parts of the Babylon system, a global system, a globalist. We look at, the wars between the communists and the capitalists. They were centered in white, Jewish, and LGBT people. And over the years, it's manifested as extreme and fanatic white, Jew, and LGBT governing class movements. And we see people showing their faces controlled opposition. All throughout history, we see people using controlled opposition in various ways. People using spies, what have you, saboteurs, okay? And it's obvious who they are. So we see people playing into their hands on purpose, organizing for the purpose of controlled opposition. It's like politicians, right? They all work for corporatists. And these politicians and their political movements and the social movements you see are obviously connected. So when these groups refuse to separate themselves, okay, when they refuse to stand against the evil in their spirit, they're like embracing it. They're allowing it. They're helping to convey it. And so it can be held against them according to their deeds as well. We see in the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, there was a spectrum of complicity. When Capernaum and Chorazin were cursed in the Bible, there's a spectrum of complicity. When there's prophecies against Egypt and the Philistines and Cush and Moab and Edom, okay, there's a spectrum of complicity. When Germany was punished after World War II, the people who decided to punish them as a nation, instead of just punish the people who were found guilty in the Nuremberg trials, decided that there was a spectrum of complicity. And part of justice, it has a domino effect. When someone murders someone and goes to jail and they have 2 kids, those kids grow up without their fathers, right? Without their father. Well, their fathers. And so that's part of justice. Now, how many of you would argue that those people shouldn't have to go to jail or prison because then their kids will be raised without them? So there's various effects that it has. And so as we see that I'm being shunned and being treated unfairly, obviously the whole country should have to pay compensation for their cowardly lack of action, with an emphasis on the main groups that persecuted me and the main individuals, because they have a certain cultural complicity that is despicable. Even on California Insider, which is a YouTube channel that leans right, okay, they say that part of the problem is the apathy, the indifference of Californians. And so it is with America and the world. Their indifference is absolutely part of the problem. Look at people these days. They look silly, look like cartoon characters. You know, earlier I was going through my feed and I saw one goofy, indifferent, scatterbrained person after another, one pointless, purposeless idiot after another. It didn't fail. People not taking things seriously. Why 9 million people starve to death every year in the world, that's 25,000 a day or so. They're just acting like a clown-ass idiot. Like nothing matters to them but their giddy selfishness. They're acting like a gay parade on steroids, not caring about anything but whatever they happen to be doing that apparently is the most important thing in the world. And nothing else matters, right? And they're acting like some kind of silly fool, some kind of giddy idiot, a complete imbecile, a waste of life, a complete coward. And the purpose of this video is not to insult any group per se. The purpose of this video is to help you understand that there must be hell to pay for the persecution of the top martial artists ever possible by the inhabitants of the earth. There must be hell to pay for the shunning, the romantic shunning of the most righteous and appealing person that ever lived by attractive females on this planet. There must be hell to pay for your rebellion against God. And there will be hell to pay, spiritually speaking. There will be hell to pay where it matters most. I'm not some terrorist or mass shooter, but I can say with certainty, you people will cause each other harm, and when your flesh dies, you'll go to hell unless you obey God through me, and no one should reproduce no matter what.